Good morning, viewers. Ramadan Kareem to each and everyone. I hope you all are keeping safe and are doing well. I welcome you all to the next webinar, which is by a learner speaker, Binod Shankar, who is from our own fraternity, and he will talk on from chartered accountant to leader, a rewarding transformation. The last few events that we did were well accepted by the members. The PDC event, as well as the social events, were well taken by the members, and they appreciated a lot. There was even a request from members to do a second round of quizathon, which our social team is looking into it. The Excel learning has also been well accepted by the members, and we plan to do some more events on Excel learning. As we all know that the economy is drastically impacted by the current COVID situation, and things are dramatically changing every day. I wish everyone all the best, and please do take care of yourself. It is very important to be positive in the current situation. The managing committee has also planned an event on economic substance regulation, which is a big upcoming thing, and few clarifications on VAT. We'll soon announce the dates and the speakers on that. As informed at the last time during the last PDC event, that the chapter has taken an initiative to prepare food kit for the underprivileged person in UAE. We have already distributed around 200 food packets. The first round has already been done, and the next round will happen in the next few days of another 200 packets. I request all members to please support this initiative of the chapter, and those who are willing to support may please contact one of the managing committee members for further guidance. I request everyone to be safe, to remain indoor, and follow all regulations by the authorities and the government. Now I hand over the proceedings to our committee member, CA Anu, to take it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeraj. Good morning, fellow members and guests, and a warm welcome on behalf of Abu Dhabi chapter of ICAI. It is often said that CAs are diligent, analytical, and committed, but lost out in the leadership game. Is it because of our resistance to change, lack of soft skills, or not having the dare to be different attitude? Let's hear from the expert, the speaker of the day, CA Binod Shankar, on ways to transform ourselves from a CA to a true leader. A chartered accountant, Binod is also a CFA charter holder and a qualified coach and mentor from the Institute of Leadership and Management. CA Binod started his career in industrial banking before moving to audit with the likes of KPMG, Anderson, and EY. Later on, he joined Nakhil, where he rose rapidly among the ranks to become finance director, helping along the way to raise the world's largest sukuk. In 2009, he quit corporate life when he was an executive director with an investment bank, and he co-founded Genesis, which became the regional powerhouse in the financial training sector, a business he sold recently to Kaplan Inc., the US-based training and publishing giant. He is a trainer, mentor, platform speaker, and an angel investor. A frequent guest on CNBC Arabia, he is also the host of the Real Finance Mentor podcast, which focuses on insight and inspiration for finance careers. An ardent fitness enthusiast, he is an endurance athlete, specializing in high altitude mountaineering and long distance cycling. He has completed 5 half marathons and 2 full marathons. In 2013, he cycled his way from Manali to Leh, a 550-kilometer stretch in a 10-day adventure through 5 high mountain passes. He has submitted 12 mountains, including 6 5,000 plus meter peaks, among them Mount Elbrus and Mount Kilimanjaro, to name a few. Dear friends, please join me in welcoming CA Binod Shankar to the session. Over to you, CA Binod. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anu, and thank you for having me here, guys. Good morning, everyone. On a Saturday morning, it's nice to have connect with fellow chartered accountants. This is my second outing with the CA Institute. At first, as I was telling the members, was way back in 2005 when I was invited by the CA chapter in Abu Dhabi to talk about real estate development. I was working in Nakhil at that time. So thank you once again for the opportunity to talk to my fellow chartered accountants about a very important topic, from chartered accountants to leaders. And I think Anu has very concisely captured the essence of the issue as well as the opportunity out there. Now, I must say at the beginning that this is not a motivational speech or presentation. I'm not a motivational speaker as such. I'm more of a guide and a mentor. So what you're going to listen to is more of an instruction manual of what you can do with your education, your skills, what you can do in your career, and what you can do with life. I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm independent. I'm not trying to sell you any books or courses or anything else. I'm quite practical, and the fact that the practicality and the honesty part is what probably is different about this presentation compared to a normal, typical motivational speech or video that you can see somewhere. It's a 2-hour, 1.5 to 2 hour long presentation, so we cannot cover everything. I'll try to cover what is relevant at a high level. Please take what is relevant and discard what is not relevant for you. The whole idea is to give you food for thought, and I'm not expecting, and you should not expect instant transformation. Transformations do not happen overnight, they happen over time. So food for thought, and I would like you to learn to think about these things, have a wider perspective, and please keep asking questions. Mohammed Shafiq is a fellow chartered accountant. He's the moderator on this presentation. He will be seeing questions as you post the questions as they come in. So please keep asking questions as the presentation proceeds. I will try and answer one or two of them, a few of them as we go along. And we have a Q&A session towards the end, 15-20 minute approximate Q&A session, where I will try to answer as many questions as possible within the limited time. You can always connect with me after the presentation. I'll tell you how to reach out to me as well. Yeah. So again, welcome on board, and welcome to a new journey in your career. So with most journeys, before you start, you would like to talk about a story. So I'll talk about a particular story. The story is captured in this particular email that you see here. So this email was sent by a junior to a senior in 2003. That's about 17 years ago, a long while ago. Both of them were chartered accountants, and this is an audit firm. And this is what the junior is saying to the senior, right? I got your appraisal of me, and it's really unfair. You ignored the good things that I did. You don't know how to motivate and manage people. That's why I never got promoted, while everyone else got promoted. You're the worst boss I've ever worked with, and I never want to work with you again. Now, this is again someone I know, right? The supervisor and his junior. Now, what do you think motivated the junior to send such an email, such a very harsh sounding email? Any thoughts? I'd like to keep this webinar interactive, so please, keep posting your queries and thoughts so that we make it engaging and interesting. So why do you think someone like this supervisor, chartered accountant with 10 years of experience, smart chap, got this kind of a response from his junior, who he had supervised on several audit assignments, right? Any ideas, any thoughts from anyone who has been in a similar situation?
Yes, so far I just received a couple of comments. That's sure. Ignorance of efforts, okay. Maybe lack of mentoring, frustration and job dissatisfaction. So, okay, lack of leadership. Yeah. So go on. Sorry, Shafiq, you're saying something else? Go on. Yes, it's the lack of leadership. Yeah, absolutely, lack of leadership. Very good point. Yeah. So, by the way, so this is me. The supervisor was me, by the way, and the junior was telling me, this is an actual conversation. This is an actual email. I'm not making it up, about how I was perceived in his mind as a manager, right? So now, what are the traits that that you think of a person who gets such a feedback? So the traits of this person, me, at that point in time, I mean, very frank here, right? I promise to be quite open and honest. Or lacking empathy, the ability to understand someone else's problem, right? You understand your issues, but you refuse to connect with somebody else, understand where he's coming from. You expect your juniors to be like you. So if you work 18 hours a day, you want them to work 18 hours a day. If you work in a certain way, style, manner, preparation of reports, communication,
You expect them to be your clones, right? Very low tolerance for mistakes. So I was like that. I could not tolerate mistakes, because you don't have time to correct mistakes, and you don't want to go and teach people. You're under time constraint. So you basically punish people for mistakes. Yeah. And because they make mistakes, you criticize them a lot, criticize juniors, and you think and you hope that the criticism actually is making them stronger. And of course, you don't give any praise, or you might say 5 words of criticism and then 2 words of praise, or nothing of praise, right? You can imagine the effect that has on morale, right? If you're on the receiving side, imagine that. No patience and no tact. No patience because you don't have time, because you can't stand mistakes, because you think you don't make mistakes yourself. No tact, very harsh way of talking to juniors, very rough way. In your mind, you're being very firm and clear and performance oriented and meritocratic, blah, blah, blah. But that's not how people say it. But then, although another person, you can criticize somebody else, but yourself, you're very sensitive to criticism. So when someone gives you criticism, like your manager or your partner or your senior manager, you react adversely, right? But for some weird reason, you don't connect that reaction of yours to how your junior might feel when you're criticizing him. Weird, right? But that's how the human mind works a lot of the time. Of course, a lot of this is because of total lack of self-awareness, right? You don't know how you work, you cannot see inside. You don't know how good you are in being emotionally intelligent, not just IQ. And very importantly, leadership style. Someone mentioned leadership. Leadership style here is driving by compulsion. Not driving by influence, but driving by compulsion. What does that mean? That means that Shafiq should do something because I hired him for the job and he must do it and to earn his salary, or otherwise he will be fired or penalized. That's what you call driving by compulsion. That's it. That's a bit different management style. And of course, all this can be linked to what we call low EQ. Right? A lot of us chartered accountants, we are smart, we are diligent, we are hardworking, right? We have cracked company law, income tax, direct taxes, management accounting. We are good at this stuff, right? But a lot of us, while we have high IQ, we have low EQ. I'll talk about this later as well. And that's something that we're not even aware of, by the way. I wasn't aware of this, to be honest. I'm aware of it. I've been aware of it over the last many years, last few years, but I wasn't aware of it when I was managing my juniors in the audit firm. So the style that I was familiar with, that I was using, that many of my peers were using, and even now are using, is what we call the pace-setting style. The pace-setting style features is that what? You're motivated by achievement, by success, not so much money. Yes, you're motivated by nailing some deadline or making a presentation or getting some rewards, not financial, but praise from your bosses. It's also distinct for its lack of self-awareness. In a pace-setting style, you hold and exemplify high performance. So you're not being a hypocrite. You're really a high performer. You work hard. You're diligent. You're obsessed with detail, typical accountant audit, and you're a high performer. You're also obsessed with being better and faster. But, and this is the problem, you ask this of everyone, irrespective of their aptitude or attitude or how much they get paid or where they came from. You don't care about that. And if anyone doesn't meet these high standards of yours, you start quickly pinpointing, blame, and if they don't rise up, you jump in, you fix the job, and then you tell them to get lost. I'll do it myself. You don't give detailed guidelines because you don't have the time. You're doing your own stuff, and of course, you lack empathy. Now, I don't need to tell you what the downsides of this are, right? It's obvious. The staff working under you feel hard pushed. Okay, they are also confused and stressed because you don't give detailed guidelines. You don't connect with them. You don't understand the situation, and because of all this, it creates performance issues. There's poor execution. I mean, they might work hard for a while, but remember that performance is out of sheer fear. The fear of being criticized, the fear of bad performance appraisal, the fear of a demotion, the fear of a salary cut, and most of all, the fear of being fired. And of course, this creates dissonance in their minds. Why am I here? Now, why should I do this, right? Now, this particular style, I must say, is actually a recognized leadership style, but it only works, guys, with highly motivated and competent people. Now, tell me, how many times have you, as a manager, motivated or worked with a 100% highly motivated and competent team? How many of you? Can you raise your hands? Do we always get the team that we like or we want? Any answers?
I have a few raising hands. Yeah.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. So like Prakash Mehta, Kiran Lala, Lakshmi Narasimhan. So I can see pretty like 10 to 15 people raised their hand.
Yeah. So I mean, but the answer is you don't get to work with highly motivated and competent teams all the time, right? You can't pick your teams. You're hired to a job. The team is already there. It's a rare luxury where you go in and you're allowed to set up your own team. And this is the problem we have as accountants, as managers. Now, why does this happen? I'm going to be brutally honest here. I'm going to be critical of chartered accountants, finance people as a whole, CFA charter holders, doesn't matter, because there's a certain mindset, there's a certain thinking that actually creates this kind of behavior. And I should know it because of my 30 years experience. Now looking back, I can see the mistakes I made and the lessons I learned. Number one, entry into most jobs is based on qualifications, right? Yes, there's a job interview and all the group discussions, all those things, but really, you're getting there because you got a CA or a CFA or an MBA or first attempt or whatever, right? Promotion, even after you join, is largely based on how good you are at your job, not how good you as a manager you are or how good a person you are, right? That's there, of course, but in the overall equation, when you're a junior, especially when you're a junior, you're entering qualifications, technical skills. That's it, right? You think chartered account is everything, right? I remember when I passed my CA way back in 1992, right? 28 years ago, July 1992, the results came out, final CA exam. For the next few weeks, I thought that was it, right? I mean, that's it. CA is everything. You don't need to learn anything else in the world. Binod Shankar, chartered accountant. What else could be more important? What else is there to learn, right? And then, of course, the next few years, the reality hit. Yeah, you understand that technical knowledge is only a tiny part of everything. None of us ever learned soft skills formally. We learn biology, physics, chemistry, geography, English, right? Accounting, taxes, indirect taxes, right? Valuation. No one tells us how do you manage yourself, how do you manage other people. I was never taught. Okay, not in school, not in college, not even at work. There was no program that teaches you soft skills. And it's actually quite difficult to teach soft skills, right? It's not like a neat package like, okay, financial modeling, neat curriculum course, tick these boxes, pass the exam, boom, you're certified, right? Or risk management, or alternative assets, right? Or compliance. It's very difficult to teach, very difficult to learn soft skills as well, by the way. And we'll talk about that soon. And that's one reason why we have this issue. It's difficult to learn soft skills because soft skills can only be learned by doing. Very difficult to learn soft skills by reading or passing an exam. And we all have, a lot of us have, I've had a fixed mindset. Okay, I'll talk about what a fixed mindset is later as well. A fixed mindset is this, right? Fixed mindset is based on the concept of growth versus fixed mindset by Carol Dweck, very famous book. Try and pick it up if you get the time, on mindset psychology of success. Now, what Dweck said is that people have either you are dominated by a fixed mindset or you are dominated by a growth mindset. I'll talk about growth later. A fixed mindset is like this: I'm either good or not good. There's nothing in between. I don't like being challenged. I studied, I passed, I've got this. I don't want to change. I don't want to feel weak or insufficient. It also says that when frustrated, I give up. Because in my mind, I am what I am. I've learned everything, and I should not be asked to try harder. I've already tried hard, passed my exams. What also has happened to me a lot is I have to take feedback and criticism very personally. I'm sure a lot of us would agree on that, right? We're very good criticizing people, right? Shafiq doesn't do this, David can't do this, he should do this better, I know should do this better. All is fine, but when you start receiving criticism, the game changes, right? The reaction changes. Suddenly, what do? You become defensive. You start saying, no, that was one off. No, it was a minor thing. No, it won't happen again. No, actually, you didn't understand the issue. Actually, it's a very complex issue, Neeraj. That's not the way it happened. Okay? Actually, I was right. I was trying to tell you all along. I was right. Actually, you were wrong. And then, of course, you stick to what you know. And very important, that's why I call it the fixed mindset. IQ and talent are considered fixed in this kind of people. They think that IQ, you're born with it, the IQ and talent, and you cannot really change it by much. Which means that in their mind, there's no point even trying to develop yourself. There's no point trying to read or listen to webinars like this or get a mentor, get a coach. I mean, that's a waste of time. You're either brilliant or you're an idiot. Thus, you feel threatened by success of others. Why is this? You feel envious because if they are there and you are here, in your mind, you can't make it, right? That's God-given gift and talent and IQ, right? He has something, you have something, you can't bridge it, He's born from this particular region or caste or whatever. That's how they are. You can't change things. So this is what you call fixed mindset. It is very prevalent the subcontinent and finance folk and many other professions. It can be changed. It can be changed. And we will talk about how we should look at it and how it can be done. So that's another reason why we have this behavior as a manager, this pace-setting behavior, right? This fixed mindset problem. Another problem we have, guys, is that a lot of the time we have wrong role models. Terrible bosses, right? Tell me, where do you learn your first styles of leadership from, first styles of management from? Where do you learn it from? Any ideas from the audience? If you think back, who did you really learn it from? Your parents? Not really, not much. Your teacher? No. In most cases, the person who actually had the maximum and lasting impact on you were your bosses. And the problem with bosses is that not all of them are leadership material. They got promoted there because of technical competence. That's the truth. They are very good chartered accountants, they're very good in audit or tax or company law or financial reporting or IFRS 9 or Basel 3 or whatever, but not good bosses. So what do? You tend to copy them because as far as you're concerned, hey, I worked with this guy for 3, 5, 7 years. He's my managing partner, managing director, senior manager, whatever. He's made it so far. He must be good. I'll follow him. Happened to me. And several times I found myself unconsciously, not consciously, unconsciously mimicking the behavior of my bosses, who were, in retrospect, really not that great to talk about. I mean, they might be brilliant IQ-wise, hardworking, highly qualified, but a lot of them were poor managers of people, atrocious managers, not just poor. Look at Steve Jobs, right? He was rude, spiteful, controlling. He publicly humiliated people, right? Threw tantrums, even denied paternity of his daughter, right? So that his daughter and his wife wouldn't get, her mother wouldn't get benefits and would have to live on welfare. He was probably one of the world's worst managers. And yet, this guy was one of the greatest CEOs of our time. I used to actually worship this guy, Steve Jobs. I used to have pictures of him, on my wallpaper, and used to quote him on social media. Okay. Now, of course, there's only one side of Steve Jobs. I'll talk about that. So, wrong role models is another reason why we are where we are. Now, this is a feedback that I got from one of my juniors when I was managing director of my own company in 2017. About 14 years after the incident, that email I got. Remember at the beginning of this particular webinar. This is the feedback I got, right? You can read it, right? Now, if I show these two emails to you, the one in 2003, the one in 2017, and you would say, hey, you're talking about two different people. Black and white, right? It's like day and night. There's nothing in common. One guy is a tyrant, another guy is a leader. But this is me. This is the feedback I got from one of my managers, right? Now, you'd see the key words, right? Approachable, sincere, personal, open, forthcoming, praise, right? No personal preferences, not judgmental, caring. Now, of course, I didn't put a gun to that person's head. That person happened to be quite, she was quite an independent person and quite a professional as well, right? I asked her, what do you think? Have you seen any change in me in the last years? And this is what I got, because I wanted to get some feedback. I'll come back to this point as well. Feedback, guys, is very important. Not just feedback, open, honest feedback, right? Like this, for example. Yeah. And I've got similar feedback from other people as well. Now, what triggered the change in me? And I would like you to think about yourself as well. Maybe what triggered the change in me can cause a change in you as well. What triggered the change in me from 2003 to 2017? Of course, it didn't all happen in 2017. It happened gradually, right? Change is always gradual. It's not one shot. It's not overnight. What triggered the change in me was quite a few things. I lost a promotion once. I didn't realize it then why it happened, but later I realized that, hey, yes, technically I had issues, but as a manager, I was horrible, right? I was affecting my company's culture, the company that I co-founded, that I was leading, which is doing very well commercially and financially, but the culture was not wow, right? People were scared. People were disengaged. People just came to work for the sake of coming to work, right? A lot of us do that, right? Even now, you get up and you say, oh my God, I have to go to work and face that guy, that jerk, and do that work and come back. I'm just doing it because I need to get the salary and I have a mortgage and I have an expensive wife and kids in expensive colleges, right? Good people left, good people left, as in brilliant people, talented people, committed people left because they could not tolerate my management style. I'm being very honest here, right? I was getting frustrated as well. Okay, while all this was happening, on the side, I was like, but I'm not able to make the impact and influence. I was making a huge impact in classes with clients, as a trainer, as a mentor. Fantastic. But I wasn't able to make similar impact in the office with employees, in the company, right? And very importantly, someone told me once, Binod, you are not a leader. While this was happening, someone said it was someone that I looked up to and I respected. They said, you might be good in many things. You're very qualified, you're driven, you're entrepreneurial, you're a fantastic communicator, blah, 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 but you're not a leader. That's all they said. You're not a leader. That actually made me think a lot. All this one and what happened, all my frustration and disengagement. That really made me think. So the change, guys, came from within. And this is something I had to tell you. Your boss can't make you change. Your wife, your kids really can't make you change. Yeah, even if the change happens, going to be for a short while, not going to last, right? What is going to change has come from within. You have to want to change, right? For long, I've been receiving feedback about my performance as a leader. I never changed, but suddenly one day, when that person said that to me, for some reason, I don't know why, I decided that's it. Enough is enough. I must change. I can't work on like this, right? So what I did was, my style changed from pace setting, top down, to what you call leading by influence. And leading by influence is a specific style of leadership management that has several elements. Number one, trust. You have to trust people. Now, I know you say it's easy, but it's not easy. Because if you're a chartered accountant, you're a hardworking, diligent guy, you're an attention to detail guy, you'll find it very difficult to trust others. Is that right? Because you think no one can do a job as good as I can. No one can prepare that financial report as I can. You have to trust people before you get the results. That's something I learned as well. Okay. Secondly, competence. Okay, you build competence in others. You communicate with others, right? People don't come to you ready-made. Please understand that. They don't come to you fully formed, brilliant, and resourceful, collaborative, communicative, blah, blah, blah. They don't. The people you get are half finished. They are raw material in many senses, especially the more junior you are. So you have to build expertise and communicate with them and build competence. Enroll, right? Collaborate and innovate and engage with them. And culture, very importantly. So I think one of my biggest legacies of the firm that I left, the firms that I've left, is I've left behind a legacy of a particular legacy of a culture, of a culture that attracts good people and keeps them there, right? Culture lasts, guys, please. People and products will not last. people, products, processes, performance, all are linked to culture. As Peter Drucker said, right? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. And one thing that we must do as accountants is have and build a great culture wherever we are. So that when you leave, they'll say, oh, Shafiq left, or no, Anu left, or Neeraj left. No, that's not what they should say. They should say, wow, you know what? He made an impact. He left behind some frameworks, a way of working, a way of thinking. And we will never forget that, right? And of course, in the company itself, will continue going forward because of that culture you created. How many of us do that? How many of us think about that beyond our jobs, at least within our departments and divisions? Okay, can't change the company. The CEO is there. You're a small fry, but do what you can. Right? And very important, guys, and I can't stress really how important this is, ego. All of us have ego. We need to be egoistic because we need to be driven. Otherwise, you can't achieve anything. If you don't have ego, if you don't have confidence, you'll be sitting in the corner of your room, whimpering from morning to evening and anxious, right? But there's a balance required here. And unfortunately, a lot of us have huge egos, which means that we are very sensitive to criticism. We don't like to change. We think we are God's gift to chart accountancy or financial reporting or IFRS. You need to start letting it go. You need to know that you don't know everything. You need to admit that you have made and you will make some stupid mistakes. And you need to have the confidence and resolve to be humble. It actually requires a lot of confidence to be humble and to be open, right? I'm communicating this to you right now. I'm being open with you. I'm also being confident. I'm not a neurotic or psychotic person, right? Am I right, Shafiq?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So I'm not saying I don't have an ego. Of course I do. But over the many, many years, I've learned that ego can help as well as hurt. So try to balance that. This came from a 2016 article in Inc. magazine. It's quite a reputed magazine, right? Now let's go back to Steve Jobs, because Steve Jobs is one guy who is always referred to as, the world's greatest CEO, the model for many people. Use Apple products everywhere, right? But let me tell you something. Steve Jobs did not succeed because he was a jerk. He was a jerk, of course. He succeeded because he was Steve Jobs, because he had what he called a sixth sense about what people wanted, an ability to change technology, and an obsession with quality. That's why people are fans of Apple for life. He was a visionary, a brilliant innovator, a genius, right? So while he was a jerk, but being a jerk wasn't essential to success, guys. It actually hurt him more than helped him, I'm sure. People left, people hated him. People used to hate working under him. They also, I would say, enjoyed. They also benefited by working under him because they learned a lot, but it came at a huge cost to mental health, as an example. So you don't have to be a jerk to be successful. You don't have to be a person like Steve Jobs, the bad side of Steve Jobs, to get to the top of the pile. There are many examples of this. Does anyone recognize any of the people here, apart from the obvious names at the bottom right-hand corner? On the top left, you have Mark Zuckerberg, and you have on the top you have Sundar Pichai of Google. You have Satya Nadella of Microsoft. Bottom left, you have Jeff Weiner of LinkedIn, Mark Bainoff of Salesforce, and Ed Bastian of Delta Airlines. These guys, all of them, had multi-billion-dollar companies. They have all been enormously successful. And yet their style is in sharp contrast to what you think is a successful CEO or leader, or what Jobs was. They're not jerks. They're actually very nice people, very empathetic, leading by influence. So please dispel any thought from your mind that if you are nice, you'll finish last. Nice guys do win, and nice guys do finish first. Of course, combined with many other factors as well. Right? That is one myth I wanted to sort of shatter, right? Now, connected to this, by the way, is how do you move up, right? And many people want to move up from assistant manager to manager. I'm talking about accounting and finance, or manager to senior manager director, from CFO to CEO, right? The ultimate CFO to CEO. All CFOs, or most CFOs, want to be at that position of CEO. That's the top, right? That's the maximum you can reach in your career. But then you have some issues here, right, with CFOs. This is a result of a survey, by the way. CFOs who believe that becoming CEOs is their next logical career step. And there's no harm in thinking about that. Quite a few CFOs have made it to the C-suite, right? Top level. They may find that the odds are against them. Okay, right? Let's see what the survey says again. Only 13% of CEOs moved into their position from a CFO role, right? That is 87% didn't come from the CFO role. Forbes 2000 CEOs who previously held senior level financial officer positions account for only 18% of the total of Forbes 2000 CEOs. 64%, that's a big number. 64% of CFOs said they aspire to be a CEO. However, in the last 4 years, less than 10% actually moved from CFO spot directly to CEO. Right? Look at the difference, right? 2/3 want to make it big, only 1/10 make it there. And 44% of CFOs, we're talking of US public companies, obviously, but we can see the representation across the world. Almost half of CFOs had never been considered for a board seat, ever. Now, why do you think this is the case? Can someone answer? Why do you think this disconnect between ambition and performance? Any ideas, anyone?
Yeah, there are a few comments like a narrow-minded communication gap, and there's a comment from Sandeep Gupta that I believe CFO falls short in making to a CEO because of two factors. One is absence of a T-shaped profile and weak people skills.
Right.
Then there are few comments like focusing only on technical skills by Suresh Panwar. Probably looking at a small picture by Sanal Jol. Lack of management skills, Anurag Shukla. And one thing is like interesting comment is the CFOs are too technical, not generalist, and are specialists.
Correct. You're all right, guys. I mean, brilliant answers, absolutely. You know your stuff. So interestingly, and this is from a Korn Ferry survey in 2015, by the way, all these statistics that I quoted to you, all these facts, right? Now, interestingly, if you look at a CFO profile of someone who wants to become a CFO, he's a CFO, he's probably very good at controlling costs, managing cash, right? Handling financial restructuring, raising capital, relationship with lenders, you know. So ask him about taxes, fundraising, reporting, accounting, analysis, cost cutting. He's there. So what's missing? Well, what's missing? Exactly what you guys said, right? So this again statement from the CEO of the world's largest headhunting firm, right? That's what he said. There's a huge gap. If you think about the left brain, and we're all very left brain, by the way, chartered accountants, right? As very clinical, analytical, you know, and decision-making based, CFOs are left-brained. What they lack is focus on the right side. That's the right brain gap, right? One of the reasons why people move CFO to a line position is to develop those right brain skills, right? To manage people, like someone said, to manage people. You need to be more agile. You need to be more flexible. Chartered accountants and CFOs are very comfortable. They're brilliant in giving answers when it's a black and white situation, when there's no ambiguity. Guys, life is not about ambiguity. Life is unambiguous. Look outside now. COVID. Way back in December, forget before that, even December 2019, November 2019, who expected that you would now be in this weird lockdown situation and with economic, financial devastation going around us? No one expected that. Can you make decisions like that? Also dealing effectively with customers, not just your employees, not just the board, with customers. And very importantly, what I've seen accounting people, finance people, they're not able to inspire others, right? Inspiration is lacking, right? You are not able to inspire because you're not a role model, right? Because you don't communicate, right? You can go to the link below, right? I've given the link, the Korn Ferry link, CFO, CEO, right brain leadership gap. It's an article that pretty much says the same thing. That's the gap. It is not easy to bridge the gap, but it's possible to bridge the gap, provided that you want to bridge the gap. I will stress this over and over again, like sounding like a broken record. Unless you want to bridge the gap, nothing's going to happen, right? So soft skills are critical. I think most of us agree soft skills are critical. But let's see what some people say about it specifically, right? Shiv Khera, if you heard about him, people who wish to go into the future should have two skills to succeed. the skill to deal with people, and the ability to sell. Actually, by the way, you cannot really sell unless you're good at people, so they're linked. Actually, you're saying the key thing is the ability to deal with people. Number two, right? Soft skills get little respect, right? But they will make or break your career. I've known many people, I'm not kidding, whose career has been made because they were very good at people skills. I'm talking about audit firms, accounting firms, chart accountants. They were not great technically. There were other people who are far better in IFRS and IAS and all those things. Yeah. But they were very good at managing their teams. I also know people who've been fired because, or almost got fired because they were horrible people. Right? In the last 30 years, I've seen many cases. Tragic, because very smart people, high IQ, highly qualified, but they just did not get it. Okay. More quotes going further. Stanford, 75%. Look at the number, guys. 75% of long-term job success depends upon soft skills mastery, and only 25% on technical skills. You might say that initially, when you're in your career, when you're audit assistant, audit senior, or junior manager, technical skills important. As you go up, it's not really important. If you go to the CEOs of banks and big companies, how many of them know the intricacies of how their business works? Not many. How many of them know how to manage people and how to manage stress and crisis and resources? Almost all of them. And CFA Institute said this recently. They did research, by the way. Overall, soft skills are rated about as important as technical skills. But we don't do that, right? As chartered accountants, and I made this remark recently as well on social media, as finance people, we love something called badge collection. What is badge collection? Basically, you do your CFA, so CA, then do CFA, then do FRM, then do Kaya, then do CPA, then do CMA, right? Then look around for anything else, FBI, CIA, NSA, any other three-letter acronyms you can add after your name. This happens, I've seen a lot of times, by the way. I did my CA because CA, of course, is the default qualification in India if you want to have an edge more than your degree, which is, my case was a mediocre degree, right? Mediocre BCom. I did my CFA because I genuinely enjoyed the structure and curriculum. I want to learn something new, and I wanted to be an analyst, right? Then I stopped after that. I didn't do my company secretaryship or cost accounting or CPA or FRM, nothing. A lot of people do this. Now, I love the fact that people are using their time productively to learn stuff. I love the fact that you're curious. I love the fact that you're intellectual. All that is fantastic. But the reason why a lot of people are doing this, not everyone, a lot of people are doing this because test taking and exam taking is in our comfort zone. As Indians of the subcontinent, from the moment we are born, we have been taking tests. We have been answering questions. We are very good at preparing for and taking exams. But the problem here is what? Everyone is getting this, right? You go on LinkedIn, and every time I go on LinkedIn, I see people who are just doing the FRM or doing the CFA or finish their Kaya or thinking of joining this or that. You really can't stand out anymore because of this, right? It reminds me when I was doing my CA in 1992, right? 1991, 92. In those days, everyone did CA, ICWA, CS. Not everyone. That was the trifecta. I didn't see the reason for that because three different qualifications. One focusing on management accounting, one focusing on company law, another focusing on what CA focuses on. I still don't see the logic. And beyond the essential qualifications, employers truly care. If your job requires that you have a CA, that's what they will pay you for. That's what they respect, right? If your job requires CFA or FRM, they'll respect that. And most qualifications, especially certifications, won't help you excel at work because they don't teach you real world skills so much. They give you a lot of concepts. They give you a framework. They give you theoretical knowledge. Very important. But they don't give you real world skills. Right? If you do CFA, for example, you will not learn about financial modeling, how to do a financial model, how to do a practical valuation. How do you really manage a company's portfolio of financial assets? You have to actually do it yourself, right? Learn by doing. So what you get, a lot of people who collect badges, they become highly qualified, but they become unemployable or unpromotable, right? We all know of cases where people who got quadruple qualifications, PhDs, right? Especially PhDs, right? Academics working in universities who know jack about real life, who can't do anything except maybe teach, that to a very narrow topic, and that too probably out of date. So that's another issue that we have, all of us have, right? Badge collection. So soft skills are important. So what does that mean? That means that we need to focus on certain key soft skills. I'm going to break them down for you in the time that we have. Okay. What are the key soft skills? Can anyone tell me before I show the slides? What would be the key soft skills that come to your mind? 3 or 4. You can say them in any order. Shafiq, any responses?
Yeah, so it's communication and leadership.
Yeah.
Influencing skills, communication skills, people management,
Right.
public speaking.
Right. So
Listening.
well, let me ask you all guys a question, right? Let me see. This is a very interesting question. Of all what you just said now, what do you think is the most important skill? I think it is so. Many other people have said it is the most important, but what do you think is the most important skill?
Listening.
Okay.
Reflection, something that's
Good.
listening.
Good.
Then understanding capability by Surya Narayanan.
Right.
Sandeep Gupta says it's delivering results.
Right.
Venkatesh Dhruva says it's communication.
Communication.
And Samit Joshi says it's ability to understand others' view.
Understand, yes.
Binod Kuti says it's flexibility.
Right.
Azza Kolte says it's communication.
Communicate. Right. So I think the majority have said communication. Well done, because communication is the skill. Because guys, communication, I used to understand communication as what? One way, talking to somebody. No, it's not. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different things. The list is here. Listening, presenting, influencing, negotiating, facilitating, judging what channel to use, and cultural awareness. Most of us, at least I, when I was younger, in my 20s and 30s, I scored very low. I was good in only one thing. I was good in presenting. I wasn't good in listening or influencing or negotiating at all. Now, there's a problem here. And this problem is something maybe that is specific to, not specific to India, but you see in other places, but I get a lot of feedback from Indians on this. English. Now, we are not native English speakers. And unfortunately, a lot of us did not go to English medium schools, which are expensive and not easy to find in India or in many parts of the world. So what happens is you come out of school and college, or you come out of school, then you go to college where English medium starts, and then CA or CFA is all English medium, right? But what happens, unfortunately, your first 10, 15, 18 years was spent in Hindi or Urdu or Malayalam or Telugu or Kannada or some other medium, Marathi medium. So what happens is now you're not used to talking or communicating in English. Now, English communication is critical. That's the business language of the world, yeah, whether you like it or not. You cannot make an impact. You cannot express your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas unless you communicate, right? So how do we get around this? I'm trying to give a few practical tips here. So one issue that we have with this is because people cannot speak properly, their confidence level is very low. They are shy. So one reason why chartered accountants and accountants are shy is because of this. They feel that their English is crap. Okay? It might be below average. You're not from England, right? So how do you learn? If you want to learn, the big if again, obviously if, right? First of all, start listening in English, as in listen to videos, podcasts, people in English. Read in English a lot more, newspapers, right? Blogs, whatever it is. Okay? Write in English slowly, small posts, then bigger articles. Okay. Think in English. I know it sounds very weird, thinking in English, but trust me, most of us, we think in our native language. You don't think in English. And that's a problem because you think in your native language, but you're trying to speak in English. There's a gap that many of us don't bridge properly. Start thinking in English. So basically, listen, read, write, think in English. And you need to do that more often. The problem with most of us is at work and at home, a lot of the time we are with people from our community or people who speak the same language, not English. So what happens? We go back to that, and then we are forced to use English. It becomes artificial, becomes unnatural. It becomes very not smooth. So there are YouTube videos and books online. I don't know any specific resource, but I think one very good way of learning English is by this. Listen, read. Every day, read 3 to 5 articles. Every day, make sure you listen to 2-3 videos or podcasts. Make it a discipline. It's not going to happen automatically. I'll give you an example, right? My Hindi is rubbish. Okay. Luckily, I'm not asked to deliver this presentation in Hindi. If Shafiq or Anu or Dheeraj asked me to deliver in Hindi, this presentation will be over in 2 minutes. Okay. Now, why haven't I learned Hindi? Okay. Well, I didn't grow up in India. I grew up actually in West Africa. So I didn't go through any Hindi class. But the reason why I haven't learned Hindi is because there was no reason to learn Hindi. You see, at work, at personal life, I never use Hindi. So there was no urgency. Now, unless you guys have the urgency that in your mind that, listen, if I need to succeed at work, if I need to communicate, if I need to be a leader, I have to learn English. I have to be fluent in English, not just learn English, fluent in English. So fluent that you inspire and you influence people. Then you will learn English. But if you see English as a hobby, as a pastime, that as I will learn whenever I have time. I already know bits of English. That's okay. Then we will remain accountants and bean counters, and we will be recognized at the border for that, but we will never make it to leadership. I'm being brutally honest with you here, my experience as well. So that's my 10 cents on communication. Now, people have asked me, what kind of communications or English lesson should I take? It all depends on where you're heading to, what your current level is, what specific English fluency are you trying to build, all those things. So Google is your friend. Go online, read a lot, research a lot, and I'm sure you'll find your way. So communication, number one, right? Extremely important, communication, right? In fact, at the risk of sounding immodest, I would say that my success and career has been largely built on my ability to be an excellent communicator. And that I was even when I was in my 20s as a chartered accountant. Yes, I was good in technical stuff, analysis, but I could analyze and communicate, analyze and report, which actually is a very interesting combination. So you guys can analyze, you're fantastic analysts. You know your accounting and reporting. You know how to look for detail. Just imagine how much of an impact you would make, guys, if you could somehow transmit those powerful ideas into words. Think about it. So communication is one. Collaboration. Okay. Chartered accountants and accountants are very good individual contributors. We like to do work on our own. Why? Because attention to detail, because structure, deadlines, technical complexity, etc. Okay. Nobody else can do it. But in the real world, you have to collaborate. You have to brainstorm with people because some other people know more than you, by the way. You have to build trust, like I said earlier. Trust building has to come with collaboration, right? I had to work in teams. I was never good at working with teams. I always wanted to work on my own because I could never rely on teams. I always saw them as not dependable, right? Delegate. I was never a very good delegator. I was a micromanager. Even if I delegated, I would go and micromanage the guy, tell him what to do, right? Tear him apart, tear the report to pieces. Delegate appropriately means what? I mean, delegate according to the importance and skills of the people involved. Don't over delegate and don't under delegate. Yeah, there's a fine balance as with most things in life, right? And of course, this also means accept constructive criticism. I was never good at that. I learned over the last many years. I'm much better now. I could do better. But all of us need to learn to accept criticism. Criticism can be very humiliating, insulting, depressing, demotivating, blah, blah, blah initially. But if it is constructive, and if you think about it after a few days or hours, you'll find that there was a lot of truth in what that person was saying. I'm sure you agree with me. Analyze without blaming. What we love to do from our part of the world, we love to blame, right? We like to find fault. Finding fault is one very good thing. You know, accountants are known for not giving creative solutions, but by finding faults. They're good at auditing. As an auditor, what do? You don't give solutions, right? The solution is like an afterthought. Like a possible solution. For you, the main thing in your management report is how many faults can I identify today in my client's financials, and my client's internal control systems, right? We are born, or not born, I would say, We are trained to be fault finders. Try to analyze without blaming. Don't blame the person, blame the process, the issue, the environment, right? And give credit where due. A lot of us are very hesitant in giving credit. I have changed my attitude. I'm far more generous in giving praise and credit publicly. So my rule for giving credit is very simple. Okay, be sincere, be swift. As in, be sincere about the praise you're giving. Don't be fake. Don't just say, hey, good stuff. Be specific. Say exactly what you're praising the person for. And so sincere, specific, and swift. 3 things. You need to be fast, specific, and you need to be honest about what you're saying. People can make it if you're faking it. Okay, just going to somebody and saying, hey, good work. No. Or sending an email in private saying, yeah, okay, work. No. Say it publicly. So my policy has always been, or after it changed, has been criticize in private, but praise in public. I'll repeat, criticize in private, praise in public. Most of us don't know how to do that. We mix it up. We criticize in public and praise in private. Imagine the damage it does. Effectiveness, this we know, right? So I won't spend much time on this. We are all, in my big 4 audit firm, one of the things we had to learn was to be personally effective, right? Time management, self-confidence, right? Stress management, resilience, things like that. I mean, most of us are good at this, right? As chartered accountants, if you're not self-confident, if you can't manage stress, if you can't manage your time, and if you're not persistent, you won't make it through CA. Let's put it that way. Forget about the job, right? You won't even make it through CA finals. So I'm assuming that most of us are good or getting there in this, right? And of course, self-motivation, right? Now, this is an interesting slide because, and I was thinking about this recently. It's very relevant to chartered accountants, by the way. Analysis versus synthesis. It is not soft skills as much as I would almost say it's like an aptitude, aptitude. So I will talk about the right side later. Don't look at the right side yet. Look at the left side, right? This 11 attributes, and it could be 15, 8, whatever. I just put 11. We are very good at analysis. Chartered accounts and accounts very good at. We are good in breaking down. We're good at numbers. We're good at speed. We focus on the process. We are focused on cost, profits. We look back. We look at history. We look at the risk. What could go wrong? We are skeptical. We don't trust anyone or any financial statements or any number. We criticize. And we look at things one at a time, single, right? Now, analysis is something that is important. I'm not saying looking at risk and looking at cost are irrelevant. Of course not. But if you want to become a leader, you have to be in the synthetic frame of mind or synthesis frame of mind. You have to be able to build up. You have to be able to communicate in words, not just numbers. You have to tell your team that this is the direction we are going, not just that this is the journey we're doing now. This is where we are going. The destination is important. You have to focus on cost, but what about value, guys? Okay, you cut cost, but aren't you maybe losing value as well? No? If you fire 10 people, how will the product quality be affected? You don't think about that often. Profit's very important, but how many times do we think about impact on people? Yes, impact on people, I agree, it's difficult to quantify, and we love to quantify things, right? Accountants love numbers and things we can quantify. But guys, many things that are important in this world and career cannot be quantified. And one of those is impacting people. But people are your assets, not just the machinery and land and buildings on your balance sheet, right? History, important, but if you want to become a leader, you can't talk to people about history. You got to talk to people about the future. Like Neeraj said very clearly, you have to stay positive. You have to give a direction in these very troubled times going forward. We can't be negative. We can't crumble. Yes, people are looking up to you. You're a CA, but you're also a manager, senior manager, director, CEO, right? You have to show opportunities, not risks. Right now, for example, everybody look at is risk, economic risk, financial risk, foreign exchange risk, employment risk, right? Career risk. But even in this risk, guys, there are opportunities. There are opportunities. There are industries that are doing well. There are certain skills that will do very well. Certain qualifications that you should study for right now, right? We are very skeptical as well. As a chartered accountant, we are skeptical because we're auditors. You're looking at numbers, accounting frauds, manipulations. We know this stuff. But don't apply that to people all the time. Okay? Don't treat people as things. People are not financial statements or cash flows or ratios. People are complex organic beings. You got to trust and you got to praise them. And we always look at things in isolation. As a manager leader, as a leader, you got to look things in overall perspective. Now, this shift in mindset from analysis to synthesis is what we need to do as accountants, as finance folk. On the right side, you see what we call Bloom's taxonomy, which is a very famous taxonomy of how people learn. At the lowest level, you have something called knowledge. At the highest level, you have something called evaluation. And just below that, you have something called synthesis. So most of us juniors, or most junior chartered accountants, are probably at the what you call knowledge or comprehension stage. You know facts and terms and concepts. You can understand, you can even explain things to somebody. But can we apply? Can we solve problems? Can we go one step further and say, can we pull meaning from parts and get the organizing principles? And finally, can you create something? Can you integrate all ideas? Can you propose action plan? That is where we should be aiming for. So it depends on where you are in this pyramid, by the way, and you can probably go back and think about it. You need to move up, okay? Effectively from just memorizing facts and figures and formulae, which we do a lot in CA, to understanding, which we don't understand when we memorize, by the way, to applying, to really analyzing, and then synthesizing. So for example, there's a company in the UAE that recently I analyzed. Now, I left my analysis days years ago. I'm not an analyst. But I love analyzing finance statement. It's a skill I have. I haven't lost it. And I do analysis not to tear apart the company, but I do analysis to see the big picture. What really happened? What are the numbers telling me? How many chartered accountants can look at finance statements and spend a few hours and come back and say, this is what's really happening in the company. This is the strategy. This is the direction. These are the financial issues and this is the business issues. I haven't seen that many people. I'm not saying I'm the best, of course not. I'm not, but and this is a pity because you're a chartered accountant. You should know this stuff, not MBAs, not CFA chartered holders. You should know it. We are the masters of accounting and reporting. Accounting is a language of finance. You should know the grammar inside out. You should eat, sleep, and drink the grammar. I'm not saying be an IFRS nerd, but if someone says, go and analyze the company, and you come back and tell me current ratio and tell me debt ratio, that is not analysis. That is just number crunching. And then synthesis something else altogether. So this is not a soft skill. This is what you call maybe a trait or an aptitude that we need to develop, okay, to move up the ladder. So we talked about so far about soft skills and a few technical skills. I want to talk about automation and artificial intelligence. Now, very important topic. Everyone's talking about AI, ML, right, these days. What is the impact of AI and ML? So Hans Moravec is 72 years old, Austrian guy. He's an adjunct faculty at Carnegie Mellon University, a famous university in the US. He's also an expert in robotics, artificial intelligence, and writings on the impact of technology. So he's what you'd call a futurist. He's written some very important books like Robot and Mind Children. You don't need to read them. Okay? I haven't read them. It's complex technical stuff. But the reason I'm quoting him is for me, he's important because of something he said. He came with what he called the landscape of human competence. Okay? Can someone explain to me what's happening here briefly? So what does this landscape tell you? You have driving, investment, chess, book writing, art, theater improving. So you have what do you call lakes, you have beaches, you have low mountains, you have high mountains, snowy peaks. So what is it telling you?
So I have a few comments from Untitled Chapter. It's evolution of skills. Abhishek Venkatakrishnan saying that everything machine can do better. Then Vinod Kuti saying that difficulty levels in trade achieved. variety of topography. Sandeep Gupta, things on top will remain. Green areas are comfort zone, I guess, by Anurag Shukla. Being human in today's world, Sumit Joshi. So yeah.
Right. Quite a few good answers there. Thanks, Shafiq. Yeah. The landscape of human competence, guys. So the blue area, the ocean or the lakes, those are areas which machines currently do very well. They're experts. They dominate. In other words, a machine can do that better than a human being. A machine can do chess or arithmetic or Jeopardy or Go, which is a very complex strategy game, or memorization better than a human. The what do you call it? Just after that, the beaches, right? The beaches and the green areas are where machines are still trying to catch up with humans. Investing, driving, self-driving cars are still not there, right? Translation. And then as you go up, you see the snowy peaks, the mountains, art, cinematography, book writing, science, programming, AI design. This is where machines haven't reached yet. That's where we are. So think of it like a flood happening, the water is gradually rising. It's rising, it's conquered the beaches, it is concerned the lowlands. How long do you think it will take before it reaches the mountains? Never? Soon? Don't know? What do you think?
So soon by Anurag Shukla, and maybe another 20 years by Venkatesh. In 10 years, long time, never, personal touch will always be missing.
Right.
Maybe
So,
it will happen in 20 years.
So in terms of computers, guys, never underestimate machines. Thanks to explosion of data and computing power, massive computing power, we will see machines making much further progress. Now, is it going to be 5, 10, 20 years? I don't know. I'm not an expert in AI. None of us are. So computers do all these things very well, right? Arithmetic, chess, stock picking, image captioning, driving, speech synthesis, speech transcription, translation, even cancer diagnosis are better done by computers compared to doctors, believe it or not. Okay? Even judging a legal case, outcome of a legal case before the outcome is known, an algorithm has been known to give better results than a panel of highly experienced judges. So are we seeing the rise of machines? Is it game over for the human race? Especially when you consider this particular headline from The Economist magazine called Masters of the Universe. It came out last year, I think September, October 9, 2019. How machines are taking over Wall Street. Computers following rules set by humans manage how much? $4.3 trillion of American equity, exceeding the sum actively run by humans for the first time. In other words, computers are running funds more than humans are running funds. The money is managed. Now, interestingly, new AI programs are writing their own investing rules in ways that their human masters only partly understand. In other words, you have created a machine, but you don't even know how the machine works a lot of the time. And humans are going to understand very soon why they are not longer the smartest investors. In other words, the machine may start making more money or more alpha than a human being. So is it game over? Is it end of the human race? Are we going to be slaves? Are we going to turn into, like one of those Planet of the Apes situation? Instead of the apes, we have machines taking over human beings, things like that. I don't think so. I hope not. I'm an optimistic person. I think there are certain things where we stand out. Because let's go back to what Mr. Moravec, Hans Moravec, the guy I referred to earlier, the Austrian scientist, right? So we talked about landscape of human competence, but he also came something called Moravec's paradox. So what Moravec's paradox says is things which are very easy to program, things which a computer can do very well, are what you call structured, systematic tasks, conscious tasks like reasoning, playing chess, taking stocks, skills which humans learned recently in the overall tens of thousands of years that we've been on this earth. On the right side are tasks which are extremely difficult to program, which computers cannot do well at all, which are unconscious tasks: walking, running, seeing, recognizing, smelling. Skills reinforced through millions of years of evolution for human beings, which computers are finding it very difficult to pick up. And this is why this paradox, what we call powerhouse paradox, is exactly why robots could play chess before they could walk. Even now, a walking robot, dog, or machine looks very awkward, by the way. It's not efficient at all. It's far from perfect, very clumsy. But they can play chess and beat a human being like this, because walking is an unconscious, highly evolved trait that we have, ability we have. Also, AI, artificial intelligence, if you look at it, right, it cannot be ethical, it cannot empathize, it cannot communicate, it cannot build trust. Right? It lacks curiosity. A machine is not curious. A machine is not, as of now, creative or curious. Right? It cannot collaborate effectively. Right? It cannot handle unpredictable situations. A machine can handle situations based on the data and the algorithm. As of now, it learns from data, it becomes smarter, but it can only work in non-volatile situations. Yeah. So, for example, if you have quant investing, quantitative investing, very popular these days, but quant investing may not work in volatile situations, volatile markets. It works with stable markets because it's predictable. Machines cannot convey data in the form of a story. Right? I mentioned my story. I'm sure you'll remember, or I hope you remember my story. Human beings communicate through stories, guys. That's the way we are. That's why we grew up. That's how we learned from our parents, from schools, from our friends, from movies. That's how we are triggered. That's what drives us. Machines are unable to do that, and they cannot lead. Fundamentally, they cannot articulate a vision or instill confidence. Now, I'm not saying machines will not ever be here, but I find it very difficult to believe they'll be here in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, maybe not even in 50 years. I may be wrong. This takes a lot of time. So what do I mean by this? This is our edge, guys. This is our strength. But unfortunately, this is also our weakness because a lot of us don't have these skills. Now, in other words, if you don't have the skills which machines cannot have, you can easily be replaced by machines. That's my thesis. And it's not just thesis, it's quite a very, very provable hypothesis as well. If you only handle routine tasks and process tasks, you will be replaced by a cheaper, faster, smarter machine. So AI is fast evolving. So what we think is that routine specialized jobs like processing, invoicing, trading on the markets, all those things will be automated, right? Why have human beings? But I think there's a lot of hype. I think personally, and even the CFA Institute shares the same view. I think AI is far away from human intelligence. HI is human intelligence because AI doesn't have soft skills. So rather than saying that machines will replace us and the future is 100% AI, at least for the next 20 years, I would expect the future to be a combination of AI and HI, a combination of the smart process, memory, data of the AI, with empathetic, soft skills, intuition, decision-making, leadership of HI. But HI skills need to be upgraded, right? So this book is interesting, The Fuzzy and the Techie by Scott Hartley. As technology continues to improve, cultivating soft skills will be the best way to assure job security. The fastest growing cognitive occupations, which requires thinking, managers, teachers, nurses, lawyers, economists, all require significant interpersonal interaction. 92% of executives polled by Wall Street Journal stated that soft skills were equally or more important than technical skills. So we keep coming back to the same topic over and over again. I'm not saying technical skills are redundant or they're useless or you should not study for CA or CFA. Of course not. I'm saying we should acquire complementary skills. We should upgrade to fulfill the potential. So what are the challenges here? And I'm going to be very honest about it, right? Yeah. What are the challenges that we face, or you will face, or you are facing right now as chartered accountants, as ambitious finance people? That's why you're here on the webinar. You're ambitious, you want to learn more, right? What are the challenges we have? Soft skills training, like I mentioned to you, rarely works. It targets the neocortex. The neocortex, is where brain's cognitive function is, right? So when you go to a training session held by anybody on communication or negotiation or not presentation or teamwork or empathy or whatever, you understand it, but it doesn't really click with you because it is addressing the wrong part of the brain. Because emotional intelligence or EQ comes from the limbic system, the brain, which governs what we call feelings, drives, and impulses. I'm quoting from neurology here. This is proven by research, by the way. So actually, you're not getting much benefit by spending 5 days or 4 days going to XYZ famous motivational speaker seminar. Okay, it's very difficult to unlearn deeply ingrained habits, right? So I was the manager I got the feedback I got way back in 2003 and even later, because for the previous 30 years, I was conditioned to work and learn and act and behave in a certain way. I learned from my from parents, from college, from my bosses, from friends that this is the way to succeed in life. It's no other way, right? And it's very difficult, by the way, to unfreeze, to unlearn. It's easy to learn, difficult to unlearn. Especially difficult to unlearn habits, mindsets. It's easy to unlearn Excel, ways of doing Excel or ways of doing a tax return. Difficult to unlearn habits. Another problem I've seen happen with me, I'm happening with you, I'm sure. Most managers and CEOs are disconnected from reality and they don't get useful feedback, right? And the higher you are, the higher you rate yourself. The poorest CEOs have the highest self ratings and lowest ratings from subordinates. Now, why is this? The last 2 points are important. If you're a manager, guys, if you're a senior manager, you have a team reporting to you. How many of them do you think have the guts to tell you that you're a jerk? You're not a good boss. How many of them? Especially in this scenario, right? Very few. So you don't get proper feedback from your juniors. How many of your peers will give you good feedback? A lot of your peers probably don't even want you to succeed. They won't give you constructive feedback. So your peers want to give you good feedback. Subordinates are scared of giving you good feedback. In fact, your subordinates actually give you wrong feedback. They'll tell you you're a good boss, you're a great boss, just to get good performance appraisal and promotion. Trust me. I'm not being skeptical. I'm not cynical. That is human psychology. That is the incentive for them. You know, nice to the boss, you get promoted. Say the truth to the boss may not like it, you get fired or worse, something like that, right? So the higher up you go, I've seen this a lot of the time, by the way, in myself and others, the higher up you go in corporate life, okay, you're surrounded by sycophants and ass kissers. People will tell you exactly what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. As a result, as you go up, your self-delusion increases, right? Your self-rating increases, and the biggest disconnect arises at the CEO level, where what you are and what you are seen as are two different things completely. These are the challenges that you would face. Solution, by the way, okay. This is, by the way, myself climbing Stock Kangri in Ladakh in North India, 2012 September. 2 pictures, one climbing and second one on the peak of the mountain. This is a 6,125 meter tall mountain. But going back to solution, so what is the solution for these challenges, right? You have to be positive. You have to look at possibilities here, because difficult situations, yes, but we can tackle it. EQ can be learned. It can be picked up. Yeah? But you learn by doing. You learn a little by reading books and listening to podcasts and things like that. But really, it's by doing and getting confident and getting feedback from your performance. Now, what I suggest to you, what worked for me, again, I'm not talking from just theory, I'm talking from practice, from my own experience. 5 steps I would suggest for you. Number 1, who do you want to be? If you want to be an expert, an analyst, then what I told you in the last 1 hour is probably not relevant to you. If you want to be, a specialist, that's different. If you want to be a leader, if you want to make an impact, if you want to influence people, if you want to take a company from here to there, if you want people to say certain things about you, if you want to leave a legacy, then these 5 steps are relevant. Otherwise, you don't need to go through it. The first question is, what do you want to be? Okay, I can't answer that for you. You have to answer it for yourself. Number 2, what are my strengths and gaps? Strengths and gaps, not what you think they are, but what other people also think that what strengths and gaps are. I'm sure we all know our strengths, but most of us do not know our gaps. How can I learn? After learning, how can I practice? And after I learn and after I practice, how can I be consistent? So it's not enough that you learn everything and you practice for a few weeks, and then after, when it's end of year, end of month, closing time, auditing time, you become the old tyrannical, micromanaging jerk of a boss. That is confusing and dysfunctional. What I did was that one of the best things I did in my career, the later part of my career, when I was an entrepreneur, when I got feedback from the right people, I made sure I was surrounded by the right people. What do I mean by that? I mean people who are not afraid to tell me that, Binod, you need to improve. Binod, you're not a leader. And also tell me, Binod, this is what you need to do. These are my juniors, by the way, and my peers. Actually, all my juniors. So I had this shift or thinking that I should allow people to speak back to me, because everybody else is so scared telling me the truth. Somebody should tell me the truth. I don't know the truth. Maybe I need to hear someone who is independent, unbiased. You need to do that as well, wherever you are. Okay. Must be open to feedback. No egos, guys. Okay. Get anonymous feedback from your subordinates. You will be surprised. I'm telling you right now. You will be surprised at the feedback you get. I hope the feedback you get is fantastic and it's better than what you thought. And like, wow, Neeraj is a great boss, or Shafiq is God's gift to management, or Anu is the best guy we ever worked with, etc., etc. But you might also get some shocking feedback, which you must be prepared to accept. No egos here. Okay? Get a mentor, a coach. I'll talk about mentoring and coaching shortly. And develop a growth mindset. Yeah, I'll talk about the growth mindset as well. We talked about a fixed mindset earlier. I'm going to nail the growth mindset. Now let's talk about the mentoring, not coaching, mentoring. But I'm a qualified mentor and coach, as Neeraj mentioned at the beginning, from the UK. So in mentoring, why do you need a mentor? You need a mentor because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You don't want to repeat mistakes. You want to succeed efficiently with less stress and least stress pain. That's why you need a mentor. It's not a luxury. Okay, most successful CEOs and CFOs I know have a coach or a mentor. Now, how do you find a mentor? Very important, because a lot of people don't do it the right way. First of all, you need a role model, the right role model, someone you want to be like. And it takes time. Okay, for me, I found the wrong role model in Steve Jobs. I found the wrong role model in some of my audit partners, some of my bosses at work, which I realized in retrospect, my God, these guys are jerks, right? So be careful as to who you like, because you might end up being like him or her. Pick your role model very carefully. That's the beginning. Take your time. Look around you. Okay, see what fits with your values. Show you what your values are, first of all. Mentor must be someone whom you have shown your potential to. It can't be someone you pick up random from LinkedIn or WhatsApp or Facebook. You must have worked with him or studied under him or interact with him on a team, something. You must know that, listen, X, Y, Z, Rajesh or Rakesh or Abhijit is a good guy. He has potential, because no mentor will spend time with a guy who has no potential. It's a waste of time. I wouldn't myself, right? Study the mentor. Don't go to him immediately. Watch him carefully. See what he does. What really made him successful? What are his strengths and minuses? Does he really mentor people? Things like that. Study him before even approaching him. Don't ask for mentorship, but follow, be supportive, right? Ask for suggestions on how you can improve. Show him what you've done, right? Things like that. And the mentor must believe that A, you have potential, and B, what he tells you, you'll follow. Otherwise, why would a mentor waste time giving you all this precious advice and then you say, nah, I don't think it's good enough for me. I don't think I want to do it. No, you must believe in that. It means that you must implement. You must be on the same wavelength. It's not enough to be a CA and a CA, by the way. You don't have to have a chartered account as a mentor. You can have anyone as a mentor. The key thing is you need to be on the same wavelength, mindset-wise. It's not about qualifications or you both studied the same college or something like that. No. And please don't ask popular strangers. A lot of people are highly successful. They're mentor material on LinkedIn or whatever, Facebook, but they don't know you and they are busy. And they're not going to spend time mentoring someone they don't know, whose potential is unsure. It's possibly a waste of time. Okay. So this is a very important tips on finding a mentor, which I said can transform your career, really. How do you keep a mentor once you find one? There are do's and don'ts, right? Listen, it's your career. You got to take charge of it. It's your life. So be coachable, take responsibility, be clear as to what you expect. When you go to a mentor, tell him exactly this is what I want from you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Be grateful, reflect on what you want, and of course give back to the mentor in whatever way possible, right? And the don'ts. Don't be passive. Don't ask for advice on everything. Of course not. Mentor is not going to tell you about your personal life, on your financial advice, and how to study for the next exam. And no, he's there for a specific reason. Don't stay in your comfort zone, right? Don't expect the mentor to solve all your problems, like I said, right? And be open, honest. If there's one relationship where you have to be absolutely open and honest, is the mentor-mentee relationship. Otherwise, it does not work. And the mentor's time is precious, so don't be late or disorganized. Show up late, leave early, things like this. And of course, I talked about one of the solutions, mindset, right? So on the right side was the fixed mindset I talked about. Remember at the beginning of this webinar, that fixed IQ, fixed talent, don't like challenges, don't like criticism. Now, what I want you to think about is the blue on the left side, the growth mindset. That's where you need to be. Failure is not the end of everything. Failure is the opportunity to grow. I can learn to do anything I want. My effort, attitude determine my abilities. Feedback is constructive. I'm inspired, not made jealous by the success of others. I like to try new things, not just go with the normal steady things. It's not easy, guys. It's tough. I've tried it myself. Even now, I struggle on some of these things, to be honest. But practice, practice, practice. Tell yourself you need to be there. It's a journey, remember, that you're making. I read a lot of books, as you probably see on LinkedIn, if you follow me on LinkedIn and social media. I read last year I read about 32 books. This year, it's already May, I read about 21 books, or maybe about 40, 50 books this year, thanks to the lockdown. I'm going to give you 9 recommendations across leadership, career, and financial markets. I've read a lot of books. So the 3 books that have made the maximum impact on me, that made me think, are these 3 books. The first book is on how to become a leader, good styles, bad styles, what good leaders do in detail. I could see myself in some of those, trust me, it wasn't comfortable. The second book is if you are a CFO, you're a senior manager, but you want to go higher. One of the biggest issues you have is what you think that what you hear will get you there. It won't. Actually, it'll hold you back. So Marshall Goldsmith is probably the world's leading executive coach. You probably heard about him. Small book, fantastically written, well written, lots of stories, lots of examples, very inspirational. Read it. On the right book, Dr. Martin Seligman, my favorite psychology author, Learned Optimism, how to be optimistic, how to learn to be optimistic, not blindly be optimistic by going to some seminar or reading some motivational speakers books. No, this guy talks psychology based on research, about 40 years research, and it's a fantastic book. I was underlining almost every other paragraph in the book because some of us can get pessimistic and cynical sometimes, especially these times. Very important, like someone said at the beginning, to stay positive, to stay optimistic, right? That's the way to success. So that's for leadership. On career, 3 books that was really insightful to me. Tribe of Mentors is basically short life advice from hundreds of top sportsmen, statesmen, scientists, CEOs on what made them, what really helped them, right? And what advice they give youngsters. Barking up the wrong trees, lots of things that you thought about success and career actually is wrong, right? And lastly, about work, performance appraisals, culture, feedback. These 2 guys, Marcus and Ashley, are actually HR consultants and leadership thought leaders. Very interesting book, 9 Lies About Work. And finally, about markets, Howard Marks, Master in the Market Cycle, a very important book. Howard Marks is the billionaire co-founder and CEO of a hedge fund in the US. He's been investing for the last 50 years. This book is an interesting blend of behavioral finance and technical fundamental stuff, so that I found very interesting. On the right side, very famous author Michael Lewis, the guy who wrote Liar's Poker, the guy who wrote The Big Short, became a movie. He written a fantastic book called Undoing Project, which is on behavioral finance, but written in a very entertaining, informative, story-like way, which you will read like this, and you will get all the behavioral issues that actually damage us when we invest, and maybe when we work as well, when we interact with people. And of course, if you want to learn about quantitative investing, like I said, it's taking over the world in a big way, algorithms. This book by Gregory Zuckerman on Jim Simons, the guy who heads, probably is the world's most successful fund manager in the world. He set up what he called the Renaissance Technologies, the Medallion Fund, which has been generating an average about 40% return every year for the last 40 years, which is the unbeatable record not even Warren Buffett can come anywhere close to. Very well written book again, entertaining, informative. 3 books I would recommend. Yeah, and of course, listen to podcasts. So I have a podcast called the Real Finance Mentor Podcast, as Anu mentioned at the beginning when he introduced me. It's recent. I thought it's not enough for people to read books. They need to listen to real life advice, no bullshit, on finance careers. So this is about finance careers. I interview practitioners, I interview students, I interview soft skills experts on their take about education, career, life skills. So have a look at this. There are 8 episodes so far. I select my guests with a lot of care and a lot of diligence. I interview them personally as well. This is my LinkedIn contacts and Instagram. My website is given at the bottom. So there is a website where I have all my, where's it coming? The last one, right? Yeah, therealfinancementor.com. There are blog pieces, book reviews. Whenever I read a book, I put a review up there. Tips if you're studying CA, for example. And of course, lots of podcast episodes you can listen to. Each podcast is about 40 to 45 minutes, and you can listen to them. It's available on Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Yeah, so I hope you listen to them as well. It's quite interesting, great insight. So what's the end piece here? I want to end this on a positive note, on an uplifting note, an inspirational note, right? Like I said, it's hard going up. Listen, I mean, when I was going up that mountain, stock hungry in the dark, it was like hell. I felt like giving up because 10 hours of dehydration and high altitude thin air can really almost kill you. But I was determined that, listen, I spent so much time, so much preparation, so much training. I can't let go of it. And I'm so close, right? I'm so close. Why should I give up? There's 1 more hour. And actually it was like that. After 1 hour, after my toughest period, after 1 hour, I made it to the top. And I'm glad I didn't give up. So don't look at your current reality as where you are going to be forever, right? So never drag your goals down to current reality. Upgrade your skills, upgrade your conviction, and meet your potential. We chartered accountants, and I strongly believe it. I'm not saying it to sound good. I'm a chartered accountant. It is a qualification that gave me a lot in life from when I qualified in 92 to where I am now. It's given me respect, it's given me a career, it's given me connections, network, give me a lot more as well. I want to give back. And I think one thing that chartered accountants have is that you're all very smart and diligent and hardworking. But one thing you should really do, and you can do, is what I've mentioned in the last 1.5 hours of the webinar, is upgrading your potential. And it has to come from you. And neither me or anybody else can force you to do it. You have to start thinking about how do I want to change and where do I want to be. And that's how real change happens. Thank you very much. Over to you, Shafiq.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to see you all here. As Binod said, I don't want to just delay the credit due for you. I just wanted to be swift, specific, and sincere. It was really insightful session. I'm getting very positive feedbacks, a lot of good comments from many attendees. So the first question, it's not a question, but it's like I would like to hear your thoughts on this. It's asked by Samir Joshi. Even CFA, CPA, engineering don't teach soft skills. So a real issue is the way we are brought up. Example, there are instances of Indians becoming global leaders and qualification has nothing to do with this rise. So if it's ingrained from childhood to view from others' perspective, people would become natural leaders. So it's not a question, but again, your thought on this, Mr. Binod.
Yeah, hi. So what is the name of the person who asked this question?
I'm sorry, should I repeat?
No, who asked this question? The name of the person? I like to know the name.
Samir Joshi, yeah.
Joshi.
Samir Joshi, yeah.
Samir, yeah. Hi, Samir. Hi. And thanks for coming to the webinar. I hope you found it interesting. Samit, this debate about nature versus nurture, are leaders born or are they made, has been going on for a long while, right? It's very easy to say leaders are born if you look at a lot of people. I would like to say it's a mix. It's a mix, really. You're right. A lot of it is inborn, a lot of it is genetic. But the examples you mentioned, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, if you look at it, yes, they had high IQ and maybe they were brought up in the right environment. I don't know for the childhood and family. But they went overseas, you see, they went to the US, they went outside India. They had the right environment there. In the 80s and 90s, the environment in India wasn't that wow in terms of developing your personality, soft skills, becoming a rounder, better leader. I think they benefited a lot by going there and studying in some top colleges in the US and working with some top companies there. Having said that, I have never worked in the US or UK. All my life, I've worked in only India and GCC. That's it. So you don't have to go to the US or UK. You don't have to go to top colleges. I didn't go to Stanford or Harvard. But I think it's about, a lot of it's about openness. So I wasn't open for the longest time. But the moment I've opened myself up, things changed dramatically. And that's how suddenly, this born leader became a trained leader, right? So I think a lot of it comes down to training as well. Your environment plays a huge part. And also depends on what environment you put yourself in as well, right? So in my view, introspection, mentoring, reading, environment, everything had a cumulative effect. I can't pinpoint one factor or one situation which had the biggest impact, to be honest. I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Binod. One question from my side, because if I'm not asking this question, then I would be missing an opportunity to ask this question on a public platform. So you have told about touched upon seeing the big picture, having the business acumen, having the leadership skills, and also
correct.
You just that's based on COVID-19 as well. So my question is on this. How do you see COVID-19? There are different interpretation, like the economy says that can be a U-shaped or V-shaped recovery. So whatever the shape of the recoveries, how do you see as a leader COVID-19, how this would impact finance professionals, and what are the opportunities in this challenging times?
I mean, I'm going to give the standard reply initially, Shafiq, is that it's a very unprecedented and complex scenario. Anyone who claims to be an expert is either a fool or a liar.
Yes.
I would be in either of those categories, okay? but being an investor and watching markets closely and having gone through corporate life a lot and entrepreneurship, I think let's go back to the first question in terms of economic recovery. It depends on country to country and where they are in the recovery. So India is not the same as South Korea, it's not the same as China, it's not the same as US. That's clear. We have all different issues. If you take US, the largest market, the largest economy in the world, people are predicting a V-shaped recovery. Stock markets are still predicting a V-shaped recovery because that's how they're behaving right now. They're still going up and up. I personally think you're looking at a W-shaped recovery or a U-shaped recovery, whatever letter of the alphabet you want to pick up, right? Or an L-shaped, 26 letters in the alphabet. Because I think while the shutdown was quick, recovery will be slow, which means people will still practice social distancing. People will not travel a lot, fly a lot, go to office a lot, work from home a lot, refuse to eat out a lot. It will take 6, 12, 24 months before people get comfortable. Maybe before, maybe not until the vaccine comes into place and people can go out and say, okay, what is safe now? I won't get infected. At least that's the way I'm going to be. I'm going to be very safe. I'm not going to be flying for a long time, right? So that is, I think, my view. So I think stock markets and the economy are a disconnect right now in the US. Stock market going up, economy is, as you can see, 35 million unemployed. A lot of companies going into bankruptcy, airlines especially. Now, what industries will do well? Difficult to say. I think, but if you look at the stock market, is a sign, right? Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, Google, Microsoft doing brilliantly, right? Because online e-commerce, cloud computing, search, online search, entertainment, home entertainment, doing well, right?
Right.
Airlines, cruise lines, restaurants, industries, manufacturing, not so well. So again, we have to see. It's again an evolving situation. Right? Finally, how will finance people be affected? Interesting question. I think if you look at globalization, we are going to see deglobalization, right? I was listening to a global expert yesterday, Canada. He was saying that this whole trend of globalization that happened between 1990 and 2018, where China was the bookshop of the world, is going to scale back a lot. You're going to see basically what we call deglobalization, local supply chains. So that means costs would go up, inefficiencies would go up. That means you have every country may have its own manufacturing hub eventually. And US already is taking back manufacturing. As you can see, Taiwan State Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation has been offered as offered to set up a manufacturing plant in Arizona in the US to manufacture chips for the first time. So that will result in inefficiencies and costs. And maybe finance people can suggest, how do you manage this inefficiencies and cost? How do you boost profits? How do you reduce the impact on your bottom line? And that's one thing finance people can do, right? And I think we tend to focus a lot too much on cost and bottom line, finance people. I think we should focus on value and benefits. And people like management accountants, and tell managers, how do you price? How do you approach? How do you go to market? Why do we have to be stuck to compliance and audit and tax alone and reporting alone? We are analytical people, right? Chartered accountants. So tell managers, by the way, this is how you can price using various technology tools that we know. This is how you can use your leverage, your operating leverage, financial leverage. I've talked about that in my previous webinar earlier, on how you should actually use operating and financial leverage strategically, or what you call strategic cost management, to give yourself an edge in the market. By intimate knowledge of your cost structure, your break-even point, of how much your bottom line is affected if revenues go up or down. If you know all that, you tip of your fingers, guys, that's when you truly add value to your firms going forward.
Thank you so much for that answer. Now, let me take another question from Mr. Sandeep Gupta. Sandeep, he just expressed his consent to come online. So I've unmuted you. If you can ask your question now. Mr. Sandeep Gupta.
Sure. Hi, Sandeep.
Sandeep, if you can hear us, please ask your question.
Hi, Sandeep. Hello.
Yeah. Sandeep.
Sandeep, can you type in your question? Maybe as I can. Sandeep,
yes.
type separate to you, Sandeep. Send it to you only.
Yeah, you already just shared the question to me. So.
Okay.
So it's a bit long question, but definitely a relevant question.
Sure.
Would it be fair to say that a fundamental shift is needed in how the CA curriculum is managed? Today, every CA in the making has an individual, independent life. They are not exposed early on to group assignments, team learnings, where skills development becomes broader. Not just technical, but behavioral too. If so, how can the relevant government bodies like ICI can be influenced? Who should own this action? CA alumni or ICI? So that's the question from Mr. Sandeep. Maybe I just wanted to ask one more layer, just another perspective. How can ICI alumni play a key role in improving or bringing more brand value to the qualification?
That's a brilliant question, Shafiq. I was about to ask that, and you beat me to it. So, I think the way the CA structure, the curriculum structure, that's the way most certifications are, right, Sandeep? The exams, the curriculum, no group discussions, no interactions with people. You study, basically, it's self-study, right? It's self-study. So the problem with every self-study, whether CFA, CA, CPA, CIA, FRM, whatever, is that, yes, you have a body of knowledge, you have an exam, a respected body, a governing body, but unfortunately, you don't get to practice real-world skills, like real-world soft skills and real-world technical skills. That puts a lot of pressure on the learner, Sandeep. It puts the pressure on the learner. And I'm going to be very honest here. I think in India, right from school to college to CA to work to employment, we expect to be spoon-fed a lot. We expect to be given stuff, right? So this is how you do it. No, our parents tell us which school to go to, which college to study, which course to study. Beta, do CA, do CFA. We are used to being told stuff. We are smart, we are hardworking. Yeah, all that is fine. But we're used to. Now, honestly, we have to take charge of our careers. You can't expect CA Institute to do everything for you. They've given a great qualification, great curriculum and exams. So I would not expect, I would expect CA Institute to do something. Yes, I think they do something with GMCS, etc. But honestly speaking, that's not really their role. Their accreditation, right? It's up to you. Webinars like this, podcasts, read books, self-development, right? It's really in your, because self-development is not a one-size-fits-all, Sandeep. CA Institute can talk about one-size-fits-all for taxes or company law or accounting. They cannot talk about that for leadership development, because your values, your strengths, your skills are unique. You have to hence craft your own learning journey, your own leadership journey, like I had to. It's a long, painful process, but there's no way around it. Another question we had, Shafiq, as to what role can alumni play? I think that's very important, because in CA, I think what we should have more is more interaction among alumni, and maybe more alumni, more senior alumni stepping up to become mentors of juniors. Because let's face it, when you go through articleship, okay, when you go through articleship, Shafiq, I don't know your experience. My experience was positive. I had a good principal, a good managing partner. He was my first mentor, by the way, Mr. Joe Sakriya, back in Trivandrum in Kerala. I would credit him with a lot of my confidence that I have now, because they allowed me to go and meet clients and present to clients. But a lot of firms, articles don't have that experience. They are treated like menial staff. They're underpaid. They're overworked. And that is where the change could be made by CA Institute in telling principals that, boss, you need to develop your article clerk. They look upon you as mentors. I think what CA Institute can do is maybe regulate principals and how they behave with article clerks. I don't know how. The second change is alumni network, where alumni can step up and become mentors, senior alumni who are willing and able and who have experience to share, can identify potential mentees. Like I said, it's not an easy job matching mentor and mentee. It's not easy, trust me. Okay, it's not easy. And I mentor very few people exactly because of the same reason. Because a lot of times sometimes gets wasted. If you can match mentor and mentee, somehow, then that's a good value add. Because I'm sure people like Neeraj and Anu and John, others, they have a lot to share. They are in the Middle East for long. They are senior corporate people, right? They've managed people. They have hired and fired and been hired and fired themselves, right? So I think that's where Shafiq alumni can play. I don't know what local chapters are doing about that, but I think it's something they could think about.
Yeah. So as a local chapter, we are trying to bring experts, veterans like you for the PDC, and just trying to make. Yeah. Thank you so much. Very interesting and valid point.
Any other questions, guys?
Yes, a lot of questions.
A lot of questions. Okay, that's good.
Now another question is from Mr. Basant Kumar. He's joining us from Bangkok. So.
Right, wow. Person from Bangkok. I think you're the only person from Thailand calling in.
So yeah, if Mr. Basant, if you can hear us, please ask your question.
I'm hearing you with the video and audio both. Very handsome. And also to the learned speaker, Binod Shankar, my regards to him very nicely. I got new insights from him. And 2 or 3 questions very, very rapidly. VUWL. We select V, which is the supreme one, best one, since we are the advisor to the CEO. Business advisor, not CFO. You have covered CFO and CEO, but not covered the business advisor. Fortune 500 countries having new ideas nowadays. They not appoint fixed one, they appoint advisors more. Reduce fixed costs and increase variable costs. Please focus on this variable cost and in the form of business advisors. Number 2, I'm speaking to you what you would like to have short term to enhance right brain capability, so that we also want to induce this beauty among the juniors or middle level, so that they can be developed into CFO to CEO more in percentage. What percentage you say is lower, we want to enhance that percentage, because we are getting many subsidiaries under our companies. We can depute them from CFO to CEO further and further with the same group. I have one item more. Lastly, please give your email ID or the name of books which you suggest. You speak very fastly. We're not able to capture it. So please put in the chat or somewhere to know your email ID and your web or your YouTube, where you are coming frequently, so that we will be in contact with you. All the best of best to you. And the last suggestion which you have given alumni, I appreciate that this must be considered, because many of the senior CEOs who are not even the member of ICI should be included in that without the fee, so that our strength should be there to get their good wisdom for upliftment and for growth of ICI. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Just before Binodji, before answering, Mr. Basant Kumar, what we're going to do is that this recording will be available and you can access this through ICI YouTube channel once the recording ends. So you'll be able to find the books what CEO Binod has mentioned. Thank you for coming in, and over to you, Binod.
So, Basant, very valid points. Thank you so much for calling in from Bangkok. The first point regarding business advisor, I agree with you. Actually, I covered that in my response earlier to Shafiq, where I said that if you know your cost structure, if you know your operating leverage, if you know your financial leverage, if you know your break-even point, that's where you get the insights to advise the business. So that will give you information about what should you price at, what should be a strategic pricing policy in conjunction with marketing and sales, so they can advise your board. How should you follow a price penetration strategy or a market skimming strategy? All that is based on your awareness of your costs, which as a chartered accountant, you should know, you would know. So absolutely, I'm with you. I think we should be business advisors, not just bean counters or financial reporters or even analysts. We should be actually management accountants. We should be on the board. We should be advising the board on how to move forward. These times, especially COVID virus times, have put a lot of stress on companies, where this particular strategy would be of huge help. That is the first point. Second point about how can you encourage youngsters working in subsidiaries? How do you develop right brain mindset, or what do you call growth mindset? The answer I'll give you is common sense and simple, but not easy. You have to have right role models. So my biggest issue that for most young chartered accountants is they don't have the right role models. They have worked with partners, managers, seniors, principals who have only been very task-oriented, taskmasters, CEOs, very performance-driven and not people-driven. So if you are a CEO or a CFO, Vasant, then you should be the role model for your juniors, because there's no point telling them to be right brain mindset if you are not right brain mindset. So that would be very superficial and hypocritical. So the best way of developing is you be a role model, and then they will learn by doing, by watching you. This is how you do it. And you can occasionally have classes. You can occasionally have people fly in and teach them on negotiation and presentation and things like that. But the real core foundation has to come from leaders in the company. I always say that the culture in a company is top down. Top down means the tone is set at the top. So what the juniors do and say, you can't blame them, because actually it comes from you. Those are my two answers. I hope it covers the topic.
Yeah, just an add-on question, what we have just touched upon now. So there was a question, how we can change or influence the culture of an organization as an employee. So do you have any thought on that, Vinod?
Yeah, interesting case. I mean, more difficult to change the culture as an employer, right? It's really as an employer, because you have to see all this. As an employee, so what I used to do when I was working in my companies is I was never happy with the status quo. I was never happy with, in most cases, of course, if you're working in an audit firm, you can't change. You have to do exactly what they tell you. But when I was working in Nakheel, when I was working in, in a bank early in my career, I used to do my own little projects. I used to have my own way of working. I didn't allow the existing culture to break me or change me, you know. So I had my own distinct personality. If you don't have a distinct personality and you go into a strong culture, you'll be finished. So it's very important to have the right fit. Okay? One of my friends is a very leading HR expert, and she says the biggest problem if we have in corporate life is the problem of wrong fit. The fit between you and the company is wrong, culture-wise. They have this culture, you have this culture, it doesn't fit. So you need to know what your values are, what your strengths are. If you're, for example, if you're a fun-loving, humorous, independent kind of person, you will be miserable working for a big 4 firm or a big bank. Okay, you should work for a startup or a technology company. If you're a guy who likes process and structure and rigidity and KPIs, you'll probably do very well in corporate life, in one of the big banks, or as a manager in an audit firm. The problem we have now, happened to me by the way a lot as well, is I didn't know what I was and what my values were, what my strengths were when I was young. So I ended up working in places which I was like a square peg in a round hole, you know. So you can't blame the company, you can't blame me. You have to really look at the fit. So that's my best answer to you. How do you change the culture? Well, you have to, first of all, you can't change the culture of a company. You have to make fit, sure there's a fit between you and the company before you go in. How do you know that? You can make out, talk to ex-employees, look on the website, look at news articles. When you go to the interview, you can sort of make out how the culture is like. Things like this, right?
Yeah. So because of the paucity of time, I'll just take 2 more questions.
Sure.
This is a very interesting question. It's
sure.
Maybe just an add-on to the question which I asked.
Okay.
What's on your to-do list these days in this challenging times?
So what is on my to-do list these days in the challenging times? So interesting question, Shafiq, right? So I'm actually a creature of habit. So every day I have a routine, and I don't depart from the routine. So I get up, I have some moderate exercise in the morning. I post something inspirational on social media, which is on LinkedIn, irrelevant, I think people must know. I read for about 1.5 to 2 hours every day. Like I said, I read about 40 books a year. So I make it every day, every other day, at least every other day, not every day, I read a book. After I read a book, I'm a volunteer for CFA Emirates. I'm on the board of directors of CFA Emirates. So volunteer work I do in terms of career services, organizing events like this, for example, for CFA Emirates. Then I study the markets. I look at the markets, stock markets, Indian markets, mostly US markets. I read a few articles. I write articles sometimes. Then if I get time during the day, I prepare for my podcast. I look for podcast guests. Maybe if you record an interview or prepare for an interview. Towards the evening, I do a 1 hour workout, rigorous workout, strength or cardio. I alternate between strength workout and cardio workout. And then after that, Netflix. So that is my day pretty much. And it doesn't deviate much from what I do. So I think it's very important to have a structure. Like Neeraj said, it's very important to keep optimistic and be positive, even when things around you are collapsing. And the best thing of do that is have a routine and have a structure. There's no other way around it.
Agreed. And just for those who don't know that, Binod Shankar is definitely a social media influencer, I would say, having more than 27,000 followers in LinkedIn. Not in Instagram and Facebook,
it's a small number. It's a small number. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more quality than quantity. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but this is what makes the difference. LinkedIn is definitely a professional platform.
Yes, it does make a difference.
I've been following you for more than 3 years, so I know.
I really encourage people. Actually, encourage people to get on LinkedIn. Not following me as such, but really not to learn on LinkedIn. You connect a lot of interesting people. You broaden your network. And the very important thing is right now you can't go out because of the lockdown, social distancing. The best way of networking is actually LinkedIn. Actually, LinkedIn is now 10 times more important than it was before lockdown, if you ask me. So please go on LinkedIn, create a profile, be active, like, comment, and trust me, you will see the changes, not immediately. Like I always say, change doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time, right? So
yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you so much for that. One last question. It's
sure.
Based on your expertise, maybe not based on the subject, but still I felt it's interesting and it's so how does the development in fintech, especially in blockchain and cryptocurrency, affect the financial industry? How can we cope up with the change as young finance professionals?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. Like I said, I'm not an expert in fintech, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies, so I hesitate in giving any opinion. My area of interest in fintech is in the investment side, in robo-advisory, in investment management, investment research. As a CFA charter holder, I'm far more interested in that. And there, changes have been happening. Machines are being used to look at sentiment in earnings reports, Machines are being used to pick stocks. Machines are being used to look at social media sentiment as a predictor of stock prices. Machines are being used for trading. So those are what's happening in fintech. So fintech is a huge space, as you are very aware. Within that space, I look at asset management investing, which is rapidly evolving as well. Not an expert, unfortunately, on blockchain and cryptocurrency. So I hesitate to give opinions on areas which I'm not conversant with.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sai Lurida, for asking that question. So one, that's the close of the Q&A session. We have one question from our chairman, but before I hand over to our chairman, I have a lot of takeaways from this webinar, and one thing was the day from we have started interacting. I just want to share to all the attendees that having 30 years plus experience, being a veteran, being a chartered accountant, CFA, and I just got to know that how much time he has invested in doing this session. So he's still doing his homework, and he's still practicing, and that's something that I really learned, and I would like to take home with the whole session on top. So thank you so much, Binod Shankarji. Now let me just ask our chair to ask the question.
Yeah, hi Binod.
Are you going to bowl a googly at me?
No. It's just a simple thing. First of all, thank you very much for this insightful session. Very interesting. Thank you so much. My question is that the leadership trait or theory, if you look at in Japan, in China, India, UAE, or Middle East region and West, it changes geographically. Correct. So, I mean, the leaders in China or Japan are totally different, the way they operate, to the leaders in the Middle East, to the leaders in the West. So how do you define your theory of leadership skills to fit into this geographical changes?
That's a very interesting, very complex question, controversial question, Neeraj. It's like a bouncer, you know. So you and I, Neeraj, we have read a lot of books, right? Even the 80s, 90s, 2000, of various leaders emerging, Percy Barnevik in ABB, and Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, then Japanese leadership style, then you have the US leadership style, German leadership style, So I actually ended up copying all of these people. Like Steve Jobs was my biggest idol, but I found flaws in every model. Every model has some flaws. Every person has some flaws, right? And it did not fit with my values, and it won't fit with your values as well. So, and now if you look, interestingly, if you look, Neeraj, now, you don't find a different Chinese or Japanese or Indian style of management. The last 10, 15 years, it is all, sort of a merger has happened, almost a globalization of leadership styles has happened, in a way, where people don't talk so much about Japanese leadership style because Japanese economy is not doing that well. People don't talk too much about the German leadership style because German economy is not doing well.
Okay.
So I think the outcome is there is no one. So I've thought about this a lot. I think the best answer is what I call situational leadership. And situational leadership is basically you react according to circumstances. And the best phrase for that, Neeraj, is somebody told me that, and I should have mentioned this earlier, somebody told me, I read from somewhere, that you should treat people like you want yourself to be treated, right? You always hear that, right? You should treat other people like you want yourself to be treated. I found that to be total bullshit from my personal experience, because in reality, you should treat people like they want to be treated. And that opened my eyes like something like, so Neeraj, the way I would deal with Neeraj would not be the way I would deal with John or with Shafiq or with Anu. And that is, I think, the most practical leadership. You cannot condense it in one book or one theory. That is what actually works in real life, because people are unique. Not nationalities, but people themselves are unique, right? If you look at Indians alone, 4 of us are unique in our own way. So that's my best answer. So, but overall, I think leadership by influencing, leadership by influencing that I mentioned, rather than leadership by compulsion. Leadership by saying, hey, let's work together. This is the vision. You are good. I trust you. Let's collaborate. Rather than saying, hey, I hired you. We have a contract. This is your JD. This is your KPI. You better do it or you're out on your ass.
I got your point. Thank you so much. John, over to you, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neeraj and Shafiq. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks for today's webinar on topic from chartered accountants to leaders. The live session was very fascinating and engaging. I am sure that CA Binod's speech has motivated and inspired us. I would like to thank CA Binod Shankar for his valuable time taken for this seminar. He said, change should come from within. We should lead by influence, create trust, competence, encourage others to collaborate, engage with others, and keep our egos out. As per the study, only 10% of CFO move from CFO level to CEO level. CFO generally use the left side of the brain, like analytical skills, decision making, but there is a huge gap in using the right side of the brain, such as manage people, inspire others, etc. We need to have key soft skill to become a good leader. Say communication, like listening, presenting, influencing, negotiating. He also talked about human intelligence versus the artificial intelligence. I think the good news is that the only human will have the soft skill, which will give much advantages over the machines. Let's focus on soft skills. Let's surround ourselves with right people, have a good mentor or a role model. During this time, let's upgrade our skills and conviction, and let's meet our potential. Thank you once again, CA Binod. It was amazingly informative speech.
Thank you so much.
Chairman CA Neeraj said in his welcome speech that chapter has distributed food kits to the needy. We know that our members are helping the community in their own way. There are many still needy people, for example, school bus drivers. Just call your school bus driver and inquire. Let's do our little bit during this difficult time. I also thank our IC Abu Dhabi chapter committee members for the support for making this event successful. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our thanks to all sponsors. I wish to express my gratitude to all participants. I hope it was a great learning for all of us. Thank you for being with us. It has been a great pleasure. I request to kindly be indoor and be safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, CA Binod Shankar.
Thank you, CA Chapter. Thank you, Shafiq. Thank you, Neeraj.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.